In this episode, I'm going to bring you two species. And the reason that I'm bringing them together is because they are very sensitive plant, especially to lack of water or lack of moisture in the soil. They throw a fit worse than caletheas and worse than nerve plants. They wilt dramatically when they get a little dry. But they also can be sensitive to root rot, which is tricky because these plants, the first that I'm going to introduce you to, they grow by rivers. So they have a lot of running water constantly where they grow. But they don't like stagnant water because they can become susceptible to root rot. So they're quite sensitive when it comes to that. Also, when it comes to the amount of light, because they are very slow growers, they prefer bright and direct light. And I know that is very a faint idea of the real amount of light that they need. But consider this: not we're in the northern hemisphere, so one of the things is like not in the north window, because they're not going to get enough light if you want them to grow a little faster. If you don't mind they grow slow, you go for north facing window and they'll be fine. Now, if you want them to grow a little faster and a little bushier, consider south, west, or east window. I would say east window will be the easiest because the sun is less hot and they will not be susceptible to their leaf scorch. But if you go for a south-facing window or a west-facing window, I would say put them about like 3 or 5 feet away from the window so they don't get that much heat and that much direct sunlight. But a good view of the sky will be ideal for them. Think of light, like if you don't have a light meter, a good way to determine the amount of light that they're getting, if the plant is having a view of the sky or not. That way you can determine the amount of light that they get. But again, if you go for west-facing window or south-facing window, just keep them about 3 feet away from the glass so they don't get scorched. So that first species or genome is the Schismatoglottis. The Schismatoglottis I got two, and I have tried this plant before and I have failed. Now, for the same reason, I got this one, I only found one, and this one I got two. So I'm going to pick which one is the right one and go from there. Like, let's start with the wallichii, or drop tongue is the other name that it receives. And I didn't have them side by side. I got them on different days. For the looks, for example, this one looks is a little bit more mature because the leaves are bigger. But the amount of growth is not as much. This one has a lot more growth in it and a lot more new leaves that are smaller. So in my honest opinion, I'm going to go with this one that is a little more established, let's say. And this one, it has a little more maturing to do. So this one is going to go back. And this is the one that I'm going to be addressing today. So this is the Schismatoglottis wallichii. This yellowing right here is a perfect example of what the plant is going to do when the older leaves are dying off because they're already done their job, the photosynthesis. So this is not a sign of overwatering or anything. This is a normal thing for the plant to do, like all plants. Now, if you start noticing yellowing like in the newer leaves, that's a sign of overwatering, and not necessarily overwatering, but more of the fact that they might having a root rot situation, or because that's the problem with plants, like they have the same symptoms for different issues, or they can get a little light. This one is still hot enough. It's one of the newest leaf. So this one is not yellowing, it's just still hot enough. When they first come out are lighter and they get a darker, deeper green. But if you see any yellowing patterns going on in the medium leaves or in the bigger leaves, that can mean not necessarily like overwatering, but there must be a problem in the root system. I will suggest you to check the root system if you see that happening, because it might be developing some root rot. The other thing is they will wilt dramatically if they don't have enough water. Because like I said, these plants grow by rivers and they consistently have like moving water. And moving water is different to stagnant water. So it's ideal for hydroponics. If you have that type of setting, this plant will do great. But it has adhesive in the mix, so I'm going to remove this separately and I'm going to show you after I have it ready for the repot, and I'm going to put it in a self-watering pot. And I'm going to use the mica lithium mix that has more moisture retention. The second Schismatoglottis is the motleyana. Let me show you something, because I had one here, but I have not done the work of putting it in the right media. This media works well for the greenhouse, not for here. This one has also some bit of a glue in the mix, but I'm gonna rinse all that up as well before I switch them to the new material. This one was in a little bit of a self-watering pot, because this catch pot has a little bit of a container in the bottom, but it was down here. As you see, I put a support because it wilt quite rapidly, and there's a bunch of new growth coming in. But if you see, like, this is mushing, and we're going to find out what's producing this, so we can learn about this plant together. I even have tried this, and that's one of the reasons that I said that like stagnant water doesn't work. At one point last year, I got this at the Home Depot in the little vases made of glass with no drainage, and I thought that was going to work, but it eventually died out, and it was not like a water, it was probably stagnant water. So I will not put this in something that has no drainage, but I will put them in a self-watering pot with mica lithium mix. I believe that would work really well. The second thirsty plant that I'm going to address today, and actually there's going to be a third genus, and I'm going to show you in a minute. All right, so the second genus or type of plant is the Homalomena selby. And I also have tried this plant, and this plant will not only be dramatic to like drop the leaves, but it will actually die real fast without water. And from that same genus, this is the Homalomena camouflage. And I have it here in a self-watering pot, but I also haven't changed the medium. This one, it looks destroyed in a better medium because they don't have that glue. And last but not least, this one I have had for like over a year. And I made a mistake that when the spring came, I took it outside because I have it by the stairs, and it gets plenty of sunlight there, like indirect sunlight. And I took it out here because it was like possibly like a little warmer, but it did not like it, so it kind of like faded out a little bit. But one of the reasons that I wanted to put it in a new mix is because this mix doesn't have any. It's been a year; it needs a repot. Like I wanna address the root system, and if you see some of the new leaves are not doing so great, so I want to check the root system at the same time. And I cannot put this plant, let's say, by themselves, but this one is also a thirsty plant. It's in a self-watering pot right now, so it's going to be the same. What I'm going to change is the soil or the mix, just because it needs a new one. And this is what happened. All this crispiness happened when I had it out here. And just like today, if you can see, it's quite windy. That wind is salty, and it can dry up the leaves pretty quick. But I know the spots that it is. I'm going to show you after I repot it. I'm going to show you with the light meter how much light it's getting right now. But right now it's in the afternoon, is against that window from the stairs, and it gets more of the light between 10 and noon. But again, it's about 6 feet away from the window, and it's not in direct sunlight. By the way, this is Xanthosoma lindenii, or lindenii. For some reason, it's also named under caladium in some places, but I don't think this is a caladium. The name is Xanthosoma lindenii. So let me get these plants out of this mix that they're in, and I'm going to show you if there's anything worth noting, and then I'm going to put them in the new mix. All right, so let me show you what I'm dealing with, because there's a lot more to do. I ran out of daylight. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what I'm dealing with. I'm going to finish dealing with that, and then I'm going to repot them. And in tomorrow's video, I'm going to show you the finished repots already done, because I cannot afford to leave these plants halfway done, considering that they are very sensitive to lack of moisture. So let's start with the bigger one. As we notice here, we have a lot of rotting and lack of the plant being able to sustain the previous growth. And I found the reason. So this was the pot that was in, and it was basically just peat moss and perlite. But all the fine roots that got out of the pot that it was before, because as you can see, it was in a 6-inch pot. So what they did was just grab it from here, toss it on a bigger pot, and fill it up with soil. And you know that going from this size to this size, should I need to say it? All right. So what I do see here is that this root system is completely compacted in the previous setting, and it was also the same mix of peat moss. I was able to remove some of it, but the centerpiece, I mean, this clump doesn't have a lot of perlite in it like the outside did. There's a bunch of new plants coming through that are trying to come out from the side of it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to wash it off real well, and then try to separate at this time these little plants and give this one a new setting. That's number one. The motleyana. I start removing all this mix, and I don't know why they have to throw some of that glue on the top, because it doesn't have it in the rest of the system. But you can see these roots are really fine, and I also don't want to keep digging manually, because I'm going to produce a lot of breakage. There are 2 new plants coming in from the side. I'm also going to take advantage and separate them and put them in the prop box. So that's 2. The wallichii, talking about like fine root system. Now the Homalomenas were a lot easier. They have come out like really fine. I still have a cork here, but it's completely compacted with roots and that glue. So I'm gonna remove that with the hose. Same thing with this one. This one also came out quite easy, but the center is quite compacted, and it had a bigger cork, but it actually came out a lot easier, so it didn't have that much glue in the cork. So that's a good sign, especially because this one, it looks, of all of them, it looks to be the most sensitive. The Xanthosoma, it's fine. There's nothing wrong in the roots, but like I mentioned, this one need a new a repot because it's time since it's been in this media for like a year, and you can use new soil. So that's what's going on. After removing some of the soil, what I'm going to do now, like I said, I'm going to wash this off. I'm going to soak that one up, and then I'm going to do the repots inside. All right, so here are the Schismatoglottis and the Homalomenas. And that was the bigger one after I cleaned it up and divide the cuttings. So they are here in 81% humidity, and the light is quite dim. It's between
Eczema isn't always red, but now eczema isn't always
14. But they're gonna get a little more light in a minute from that window. Right next to those, here's where I keep my Xanthosoma. And right now here, the light that receives
skin that's still more clear, even at 1 year. Clearly, it's possible with Eglaonema.
is about 30, 47. So it's on the low light level, but it was doing better when it was here earlier. Is when I took it out outside that decay a little bit, but it's gonna get back. And now that it's in the new mix, it should do just fine. Here's another bit of Galicia update. Here's my mosaica or network. I forgot the name of this one, but I put it on the screen. And I also have a zebra plant here, and there's a small lancifolia. All right, so I have to do this little bit of an edit here and add this because some of the files were corrupt for this previous recording, and there's some important information that got ruined there that I'm going to give you now. It's also been 2 weeks since I did this footage, so I'm going to give you an extra update, and you get to see how the plants are doing 2 weeks after the repot. And this can happen due to just the stress of the plant by being repotted, just the stress of the plant by being moved around from place to place. Any type of stress, these plants are very sensitive, and I'm talking about the Schismatoglottis in particular, not the Homalomenas or the Xanthosoma, but the Schismatoglottis are very sensitive to this type of change of scenarios. The first thing that they're going to do when they're over water, if there's lack of air circulation, and it's this. The plant at night, what it does the opposite of when it comes to the exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide. When they during the day they do that, and as a result they take carbon dioxide and expel oxygen while they're doing photosynthesis. At night they do the opposite. They take oxygen and they dispose CO2. So when that happens, the plants is when they transpire or perspire, if you want to think about that. It's the exchange of water that happens in the stems and in the leaves themselves. Now, sometimes because of stress, or sometimes because of lack of air circulation, or because the plant is just adapting to the new environment, what they do, they take more water into the plant that these cells, the stomatas, in the leaf can actually process. So when they perspire, there's so much water coming out of them that they rupture, and then they get mushy, and they eventually they fall off. You can see stems that the leaves is completely mush. It's not even the stem itself. Then it can happen, if this is traumatic, then it can happen to the whole stem. You probably saw it on the first plant when I showed to you. That was one of the symptoms that he was having, but the new growth was already adapted to that. So one of the things that you have to do with this plant is be patient, because it might take longer than other plants to adapt to the new setting that you provide plant. And I'm talking about not only the repot that you're changing the soil, but also when it comes to wherever you place them, because when they come to the store, from the moment they arrive to the store to the moment that they're taken out, it's not enough time for you to see this. Usually when these plants start decaying, they either put them on the clearance rack, or they throw them away. So that's something that you don't get to see. You think the plant is perfect, but this perfect state of the plant is because of the situation that it was coming from, of the nursery or the greenhouse. And now the plant needs to adapt. So that's something for you to have in mind. Like when this happens, it's not the end of the plant, as you saw at the beginning, but the Schismatoglottis are especially sensitive to those type of changes, also adapting to those changes, and the amount of water that they take and the amount of water that they repel or dispose through the transpiration when that happens at night. And that's complete the whole information that I have at this moment with these plants, especially the Schismatoglottis. The other ones are doing fine as well, and I'm going to show you right now. All right, so here's the final update. A overcast day, and you can see the amount of light here is minimal, like almost non-existent. It might get a little brighter throughout the day, but being overcast, these plants are getting like basically like no light. Right now it's still early, it's gonna get a little more light around noon, but it's not gonna be that much. Now, consider that where this window is, in the next couple of months, there will be more direct sunlight getting through here, but because they're still receiving some view of the sky, they're still getting light. Now, if you see this one is doing just fine. That one is barely growing. It's been 3 weeks, almost a month since the original repot. But I got some caterpillars here that I just treated again. I couldn't find the little bastard, but this one is actually doing like really well, because from the very beginning since I got it, it was very droopy, and now it started to getting a little more life into it. I'm gonna check again because these caterpillars are here. This is what I was talking about, of the stomatas bursting and producing this type of damage, because you see the leaf is mushy, and that's due to like these stomatas like busting because they cannot handle the amount of water, and it's all mushy, like same thing, like little spot in there. And even I can see like in the morning or late at night, I can see like water on the floor because of the transpiration or sweating that they're doing. But once they adapt, that won't happen as much. Now, let me show you this. Put this one aside, because I'm kind of done with this plant, because it threw a major fit because of the repot. And as you can see, once they droop down like this, they're really hard for them to get back up. And that's what happens when they miss water or they're lacking anything. If they are not getting what they want, this is what they do. This one more than this one. I'm talking about this particular species. This can also be very sensitive to like underwatering. This one I'm still new to it, but that's the case with this one in particular. I have tried this plant 3 times, and this is the last time that I'm trying it. Like, that one is the old one, this is the new one, and as you can see, this is not pretty whatsoever. There's new growth in there, but I am not happy with how picky it is. So that's the final update. All right, so I hope you enjoy it. Like, I thank you very much for stopping by. Please don't forget to drop a like, comment, and share. It means the world to me. It supports this channel to keep it going. I have a lot more content coming your way. And if you want to add extra support to the channel, there's a link on your screen right now and on the description down below under David's reactions, so you can support the channel that way. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much again. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.